This video is actually for the guys. So ladies, if you're watching this, you can send this to a male friend or watch this yourself because, as I always say, dating advice is quite universal and our problems are always the same. So maybe you might get something out of this and I hope you do. But the question that always comes to me is, how do I get a really hot girlfriend? And I feel really, cringy saying that, because I'm like, I can't believe I'm actually answering this question. But it's true, like, honestly, honest to God, like, some of the most common answered or asked questions online that guys tend to ask is always things like, oh, like, how do I talk to girls? How do I be more attractive? Like, how do I do that initial step? Like, guys seem to be just so obsessed about that initial step. So women, if you think that, like, you know, like, oh, but guys are so confident, they approach me all the time. Like, only the confident guys approach you. And are those necessarily the guys that you want? Because if they've approached you, then chances are they've probably practiced it in some way. And so yeah, so here's a harsh truth. And this is a video that I was putting off saying, but now I'm just going to say it. As a guy or as a man, if you can't appreciate every woman equally, then you have no right appreciating one woman for who she is as a person. Because what tends to happen, you know, if you say you want a really hot girlfriend, now I'm not saying that there's preference, because some people are attracted to certain things. You know, what one person finds more attractive is quite different to what another person finds attractive. But at the very core of it, if you were to really look at it, what tends to happen is a lot of guys and women, I know you are not, you know, they aren't the only one that does this. This is a human thing. But a lot of men, specifically, some put women into like a hierarchy. You know, there's always the idea of like, oh, she's a 10, she's a 9, whatever. And almost like a lot of guys tend to rate the value of someone based on physical appearance or based on some form of attribute. And what this creates is a hierarchy where, you know, this person is valued and this person is valued and this person is valued. Like, have you ever heard of the phrase like, oh man, she's out of your league, bro? Or, oh man, you know, he's way out of your league. Basically, this comes from this idea of a hierarchy. And we create this hierarchy because we think there's certain sexual marketplace value with someone who has certain attributes or a certain job or a certain idea. And you know what, in some elements there are, because a lot of people, you know, they do put this. But if you want a genuine, amazing, incredible connection, that will only come from the fact that if you decide now to get rid of that hierarchy in your life, if you decide now to look at a woman for what makes her beautiful, and if you look at the next person about what makes her beautiful, you look at your mother and you look at her and thinks, what makes her beautiful? And these little things might not just be her appearance. It might be who she is as a person, how she interacts with the world. And you'll realize this because the more you play the hierarchy game, the more you're also rating yourself. You know, there's always this idea of like, a lot of guys talk about like, when will I be enough for love? Or when will I be enough for to be attractive? And a lot of girls say, how do I be enough? And the honestly is, like, the more you try and make that fact that you're enough, the more that you play this game of, man, maybe if I just sleep with this many girls, you play this number game because that increases your ego and then you become this better, more amazing person in your head. But in reality, you're still the same. You haven't dealt with the core issue. And the core issue here is that you're not looking at a human. You're looking at an idea of what it means about you. And this honestly is the case with a lot of people, is that we get into relationships because of how they make us feel, and then we fall in love with the feelings that the other person gives us. This is what I call need love, because they fulfill a need inside of our life and they're not actually dealing with the actual issues or the ideas that we have. And if you were to change this, there's this notion of flowing love, this idea that it's appreciation for everything. It gives, it just goes, it flows, it comes out of you like this idea, this feeling that you just want to give for the sake of giving. And it's the kind of love that cannot be taken advantage of, because the moment someone does, you'll be able to tell. because there'll be like a suction and you'll be like, well, hey, I'm not doing you a good service here. I'm not loving you in the best way by letting you take advantage of me. And so if you keep playing this hierarchy, if you keep getting into this world where you think that, oh, if I get this person, or if I get this woman, or if you're a woman, if I get this guy, then I'll be happy, then you're going to be playing that game and you'll buy that game's rules. If you want, you have to step out of it. And the only way to step out of it is to notice that you're in it. There's the idea that, you know, two fish are swimming in the ocean, and then an older fish comes along and he's like, hey, how's the water today? And they're like, what's water? The moment you become aware that this is what you're doing, that you're judging your own ability or your own status or your own hierarchy on their hierarchy, which is just an arbitrary system that you've made up, the moment that you've noticed it is the moment that you can step out of it. So, as always, if you like this video, thanks so much for watching. Make sure to like it, because if you do, then I like you. And make sure to subscribe, because if you don't, then I am going to wear Speedos in the next video. All right, thanks so much, and hopefully I'll see you soon. Mwah.